Hey everybody, it's Derek with Clash in the North here, bringing you the recap of our week one, first round of the playoff matchups. Like it's not week one of the playoffs. Fortunately, this one did come down to percent, and we came out on the short end of the stick. Um, Overall, kind of talking to some of their guys and our guys, and kind of what happened. It was kind of a disappointing. There was a mix-up. You'll see. That's why this base is unhit. This 25. Uh, a guy with a very similar name. Like, I mean, I think just some numbers were swapped around, so they accidentally clicked him in. So, uh, locked bases. Unfortunately, he was going to be someone lower on the map, hence why 25 was left open. Um, we did very well. 10v11, 10v10. We had a triple. Unfortunately, the 11v10 was just not up to our usual standards that we would expect, and they kind of felt the same way. So we will jump into some attacks. First up, the 10v10 triple, and we have ADE coming in here and doing a really cool mass dragon attack. And what's nice about this is, you can see all four air defenses are really set off to that lower side of the base. The archer tower and those wizard towers are also there, which just kind of adds to a little potential extra value. So the minions are down, just creating a funnel. Once you get that king in, the wizards come down to go ahead and try and clear the storages and really keep, back up that kill squad. As everything's looking really good, goes ahead and opens up the wall, and the goal is that the king will now come back in, pops that king ability early so that all the barbs and everything can go pop all the traps, keep everything going. Absorb up that CC. Didn't know what was in the CC, so obviously knew it was a hound. But at this point, it's really kind of just enough things stay alive. At this one thing that why this attack was able to be successful is you can see there's only that one cannon hitting the king, and then there's eventually that other cannon that gets involved, but it's not enough to clear the kind of tanking troops. So then it goes ahead, puts down two dragons to act as a funnel, wants to really just kind of lay a runway down. For those couple, doesn't put the dragon and the CC out for just, I guess, probably to just have the loons in the CC kind of be effective and go somewhere. Goes ahead, sends in, has those three rage spells and a heal for them. So goes ahead, rages the dragons through as they get up around the queen altar and those expos. Goes ahead and drops a haste for the loons, drops another rage, drops the heal to get everything just kind of not healed back up, but just keep it alive just a little bit longer to allow everything to kind of do a little bit extra damage to get through that really tough part of the base. As the loons start coming in and picking off these side defenses as the dragons are tanking, just getting a lot of value, and they're just moving across. As soon as that inferno tower's down, the loons are pretty much safe with the dragons tanking. They're just moving right across. Minions out on the cleanup already with some archers as well. And then just clearing the rest of the trash, gets the 3-star. Obviously was much needed. They had two 10v10 triples pretty early, so it was one of those needed to strike back. The next was something messed. Okay, great. I lost my notes. There they are. Next, we're going down to number 10. We have Lisa coming in. And this was late in our 9v9 action. We really had to go about perfect to end to be able to not have any dips. So unfortunately, the people who kind of hit early put a lot of stress on the people who had to hit late, but they were the guys and gals who got to hit late really stepped up to the plate, got it done, and cleared the 9. So it wasn't the prettiest of outcomes or kind of journeys, but it was one that was successful. She goes ahead, opens up everything in here, is going to have access to the 3 ADs. Unfortunately misses that kind of poison there, so the baby drag gets backed up, but just has access to those 3 ADs, the archer queen, and then getting into that center compartment, which really gives access to the sweeper, the expos, and that 4th AD. And then even some other kind of nice things to get, like a wizard tower and archer tower, kind of whichever way the kill squad wants to go, they're going to get value. So everything's kind of moving along, just being very patient here, and not kind of rushing anything in with those loons. Puts that first hound in. Kind of unfortunate that the mortar is there because the Hound doesn't get out in front tanking a bunch of extra point defense, so the damage is kind of all over the place. It's no big deal. It has so many loons for so little defenses at this point, with a haste spell up, that it's all just totally rip. It's coming on down. Unfortunate, nice that the Hound does pick up a black bomb to get that extra cleanup because it was very much needed. And then from there, just clearing the rest of the trash ring, gets the 3-star. Ugh. Trying to hold that. So as we watch this one finish up, we'll get ready to jump into the next attack. And that'll just be down a couple here, with Justin doing his patented CB mass hog raid. Just absolutely, one of the... What he does, really looks for these bases. You can usually find a couple of them in your wars where this strategy works. There's a couple bases where the pathing will kind of break up. So a little late on that poison. So his golem did take way lots of damage, which could have got a little extra value. Goes ahead and sends in some hogs to just clear these defenses quickly, so his kill squad can go in and get as much value as they can, clearing the defenses where the hogs will end the raid and kind of like, well, not have to loop back around. So as the king and queen going in there doing some tanking, the hogs are just moving on through, has heal spells to cover. You can kind of see most of the base is either taken out, is not a threat to hogs, or can be covered in a heal. Even at this point, goes ahead as stuff keeps exploding. These giant bombs are in places that are really inconvenient, very well placed giant bombs. He's very fortunate that tons of hogs didn't go into some of these places. So as these hogs march up to the last couple wizard towers, those are the last real threats. I believe there's a giant bomb in between the Tesla and mortar, but luckily the good hog split, and the reduced damage no longer makes that a big issue. So as the cleanup's going on, hogs are on one side, wizards on the other. One of those things he had cleanup out fairly early. It's a hugely valuable thing to do when you've cleared a section of the base. Get your cleanup out. There's not really a reason to wait if you're already planning on cleaning up that section anyways. The more time they're out, the more effective they will end up being. We'll go down. Next up, we have Doodle coming in with... I mean, I'll admit, I watched this attack, and I thought going very shortly into it, I'm like, this thing is just totally gonna fail and is not gonna work at all. So he comes in, has these few dragons. We kind of talked about a plan, and it seemed like kind of just went off the rails, but just kind of funnels these dragons in, going in to get the queen, zap quakes to get the sweeper as well. Just nice extra value that way. So these dragons are now moving on across. And here's one thing where it was kind of started getting screwy, because instead of starting out Lalo, but he hadn't taken out the AD, which was one of the reasons I thought that. But it ends up obviously being okay. Does get the 3-star. Comes in with that second Hound. The Hounds are doing just enough tanking, soaking up just enough traps. I believe they did get like all 4 black bombs, which is immensely valuable. Perfect pathing on those Hounds to do that. Going right near those air defenses, even the ones he zapped, which just helps keep up those dragons. And keeping up those dragons allowed for tanking, allowed for, base clearing. Then he goes ahead, still has the 4 minions in reserve, has some loons coming out and picking out backside defenses. The loons are tanking for that wizard tower, which is the last threat to his like little pups and cleanup and huge damage dealing force that's behind the dragons. Clears out the rest of the trash at the top of the base. Queen lives through the raid. Has a good time, gets the 3-star. Awesome job, Doodle. And that's one player who's just grown into being an absolute monster. Next up, we have A2, and this is voted in to be featured in this recap. So go ahead and show him. He's coming in here with his little queen charge, Lalo. So he gets his queen down, wants to go ahead and obviously take out the defensive queen and clear out air defenses, clear out other high value air targeting defenses towers. Yeah, towers. That's the word. So as his queen steps up, she will now be in range of the defensive queen. Gets that rage out. As you can see, it was obviously a little late because he just laid on it, but it forced him to have to use that ability, which affected his ability to get that wall open originally. So one of those, if you know your queen is going to be stepping up to take on the defensive queen, you use the poison, or you can be early with it. Use the poison; she'll live through it. Then won't have to use that ability. Use a rage spell. Get it down early. It takes a couple seconds or two for the healers to actually gain that buff from that rage spell. Or, a couple healing shots. So the queen's not going to feel those healed up rate or that rage healing very quickly. Goes ahead at this point. 280s down. Has two hounds, had that max hound in the CC, which is doing a wonderful job tanking, targeting tons of these air targeting towers that are on the outside. Comes with that second hound, beautiful heal. One of those very smart things to do if you're going through a Tesla Wizard Tower threatful area where your hounds are not going to be able to tank. Heal a bunch of your loons, they'll get through it, take out the rest of this base, moving on through. This is one thing, cleanup could start earlier, just like I was mentioning in the other raid. If you have sections of the base that can have cleanup going, get it out there. It'll be much more effective running for 90 seconds compared to 30. You're going to get a lot more value. Your raids are going to go a lot smoother, and you'll avoid a lot more 99% when you start getting into the flow of things, because sometimes you don't have a minute and a half at the time where that section of the base is cleaned. You only have a very short amount of time, so you need to kind of make up for that, and it'll help you get into a nice flow. Either way, A2 comes in, clears out the rest of the trash, gets up the 3-star, and fortunately, that us as a clan, we didn't do enough. Congrats to LP4 Hades. They did. They get a move on. I'm not sure who they're facing. It was either going to be, I believe, the winner of Gods of War or Dark Looters X, I think. It'll be one of those two. They'll be playing next week. Unfortunately, we won't. We are recruiting. 10s, 11s, 9s, anything under the sun in that regard. Go ahead and apply at clashinthenorth.com. This is, until the next time we have an arranged war or, something worth recapping, I'll be signing off until then. So until you guys hear from me next, stay frosty.